So I'm here stood with Matt Richardson, who is
Furious Driving.
There's Furious Driving.
Furious Driving.
I was going to say Fast and Furious, but it's not.
No.
Well, I don't know, you could be.
Oh, not on camera.
Not on camera.
Where did the name Furious Driving come about?
It was a bit of a joke for an older website I did ages and ages ago.
Okay.
Because yonks ago, Clarkson on Top Gear did a thing where he was on the Isle of Man, I think it was, and they said that the only thing you could get arrested for in terms of driving, and a speeding offence, was wanton and furious driving. So if you get arrested, you got furious driving on your driving licence. And I thought that's way better than SP30. That'd be quite good to have that, really. So I thought I did a little website for something else and called it Furious Driving. And then when I started the YouTube channel about 10 years ago as like a really small something different, I called that Furious Driving as well. And then when I started doing a bit more with it, it already had the name, so it was just kind of stuck. So
Wow.
Furious Driving.
That makes sense because I saw you're a calm driver.
Well, yeah.
You're never going to get done for Furious Driving.
Well, on camera, certainly, yeah. Because that is the worst thing about having named that. People are then looking for it, and then
Yeah.
if ever I'm on camera, I want to make sure, because people will comment all the time. If you do like 31 and a 30 or 72 and a 70, people instantly, I saw you were going a bit more than, all right.
It's amazing
Yes.
what people pick up on camera.
They notice, yeah.
They do
yeah.
notice.
Yeah, because you
very
see
much.
people do that stupid stuff like doing 160 down the M2 in a whatever car, and they stick it on YouTube deliberately. You think, well, you must have known that was going to happen.
Yeah.
People are going to arrest you for it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you put your own evidence up.
Exactly, yeah.
So, a whole channel dedicated to vehicles.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Are you just focusing on your own vehicles for a little bit, or are you venturing out?
No, it always has been a split. Initially, when I first started doing it a long time ago, it was only driving other classic cars, but not talking about it. Just a bunch of GoPros, some engine noise, and then a couple of years back, I started doing like car reviews, and I used my own car as the first car to review, and then started using friends' cars, dealers' cars. So I know a lot of car dealers through work who specialise in like classics and modern classics, and so I use their cars, and now people are offering me their own cars who watch the channel. But in addition to that, I do a lot of working on my own cars. Like I buy stupid things like that crown. So I'm pointing at a car and radio.
It's an Interceptor.
Yeah, police interceptor. Yeah, so.
Unique perspective.
Yeah. So some cars I buy as non-runners and try and get them going. Other cars like that I buy as a running car and then made it so UK legal. Other cars I try and buy and hope are good cars and then not. But yeah, then.
What car have you found that you wish you hadn't bought or hadn't driven?
Hadn't driven. I don't think that I wish I hadn't driven, because every time you drive something, it's a new experience. You
Well,
can add
yeah.
that to your sort of your mental library of what it's like and to compare to. I mean, some cars have been bad and not been expected to be good in the first place. Like a City Rover, for example, it was interesting, but it wasn't what you call a good car.
No.
It would have been good maybe 20 or 30 years ago, but calling it a modern Rover and selling it at a premium price, it was a massive disappointment. But there were actually dangerous shortcomings with it. The suspension was unbelievably bad. They're going over like a series of bumps and undulations in the road, which I've been over in my everyday daily car and thought was a bit of a funny bump. In the City Rover, it almost took off. I mean, it was dangerously out of control at the speed limit. And someone said, "Oh, be careful doing that, because that will punch the shock absorbers through the strut tops." And I thought, wow, that's actually quite a shortcoming. And going around a roundabout, it's got speed-sensitive power steering, so it changes the amount of assistance, but not gradually. It just went from a little bit to a lot, all the way around, or not much to a lot.
Oh wow!
And halfway around a roundabout, and suddenly I was having to like correct what the car was doing.
So you're getting a lot of oversteer and understeer.
Yeah, so just steering we didn't expect it to. So I thought that was actually quite a dangerous thing, and the whole build quality was
Rover
awful.
had lost the Mini to BMW. They suddenly had to bring out a car. They
Yeah.
pulled that one out overnight.
Yeah, and it was an existing Indian design. It's already a couple of years old in India, and as an Indian car, as a lot of comments came from Indian area, people were saying, yeah, it's a good car for here, but yeah, we can understand it's not a good car for Europe, where expectations are different. And so that was
And what car have you found is the best one that you want to keep and going and going and going?
Of my own or ones I've driven in total?
Any.
The one I really, really want is a Cord, 1937 Cord. It's been like my favourite car since I bought the toy one when I was like 12. And Matchbox models of yesteryear have got a lot to answer for. And I think it was last year, a friend of mine actually bought one. And I couldn't believe it when he rang me and sent me a link. Said, "Do you think I should buy this car?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care what state it's in, you should definitely buy it." And then I can have a go in it. And it was everything I hoped it would be. 1930s cars are heavy and hard going, but it was a luxury 30s car with, how do I describe it? Electro-pneumatic pre-selected gearbox. So the gear shifter looks like a tiny chrome joystick on a computer game. And it was amazing. It was the Cords were the first front-wheel drive American cars, but it was the second model Cord made. The first pop-up headlights in America, but manual little winders. You have to look beautiful. The whole thing is like an Art Deco masterpiece. It is so beautiful, and I would love one more than anything else.
Lovely.
So if anyone's listening for Christmas, then
yeah, Matt wants one.
send over.
And post-war, more up to date. That's a modern car.
I don't know. Ferrari Dino. I was offered a Ferrari Dino for £20,000 a couple of years ago, and I turned it down. And now, I could sell one and just. If I had bought it and sold it, I could pay my mortgage off. So if we that was a pretty car. That's my favourite Ferrari. Not I'm a really Ferrari person, but the Crown Vic. That is a car I have been wanting for absolutely years, because I think they're just such an incredible piece of engineering. I said this to someone else earlier. If you've got the kind of unlimited budgets that the supercar makers have got, you can make a car that's 200 miles an hour and is as exotic as you want with an unlimited budget. If you're trying to sell a car to a fleet for under $20,000 that will do 500,000 miles or more and take 24-hour-a-day, 3-shift-a-day beatings and keep on going and still be as tough and reliable after 10 years on all those miles, then that is really impressive. And there's so many differences between that and the civilian car because it's a police car. That although it's not luxurious, it is a lovely thing to drive. It's like a real sort of soft cruiser, but sprung hard for police work, so you can crash over curbs if you want to and do all kinds of stuff. I think that has been like a long time weird dream car, but I'm glad I got that.
Brilliant.
And if I was looking for something a bit more normal, then the original Honda Insight would be quite fun to get, because it's like where electrics and hybrids have come from, and they're now trying to make them look mainstream cars, but that was going very hard not to look like a mainstream car. So I'm quite into that for that reason.
What's the future 2022 see for you on the channel?
I have no idea.
Hopefully be test driving and taking our little mini Clubman estate around.
Oh yeah, that can definitely include that if you can get it finished.
She's just got to get her finished.
No, I generally don't plan further than lunchtime, so I wasn't expecting to.
And what are you having for lunch?
Well, it was meant to be a tuna thing, but I forgot the fork, so I think I have to go and buy a pasty.
Definitely are going with the flow.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't really planning on adding that Rover Tourer to the fleet last week. That was very much you can have it. It's a good price. The MOT runs out in 3 days, so if you want it, you can drive it home now. Otherwise, you either can't have it or you get to trailer it back from Cambridge. So I thought, okay, we've got ourselves a Tourer then. So.
And the ultimate question for petrol heads across the country: what is the ultimate number of cars to have? What's too many? What's too least?
One isn't enough.
No.
100's probably too many. So somewhere between 1 and 100.
Somewhere between 1 and 100.
We're all right then.
Yeah, we're just about right.
I would say more than 10 it becomes a full-time job just looking after them though.
Yeah.
At which point you have to start a YouTube channel and talk about them, then that pays for it. At which point you need to buy more to make the YouTube channel pay, so that becomes an expanding problem.
It becomes a museum.
Does become a museum.
Yeah. I really wanted to buy the old Roots factory in Maidstone, which is being converted to flats now. I did a really popular thing I did in 2020, just as lockdown started, and actually put out just a day after lockdown started. It was a walk around the old original Roots factory and showroom. It's their flagship showroom from I think 1938, 37. Beautiful, huge thing. It's on a lock, not lock, sorry, what do you call it? A mill pond. Because traditionally it was a mill on this corner in town, and so half of it is, or a third of it, is a beautiful Art Deco showroom, and then the other part of it is a 2-story factory where they built cars. Every combat truck that went to fight in the Second World War came off this factory and drove down this one big ramp off the second floor. So it was been up derelict, not semi-derelict, for about a couple of years, because it was a Peugeot dealership until about 2017. Because after Chrysler pulled out, became Peugeot and everything, it became, I think, Robinson Day Peugeot. And they were trading there right up until then. They realised that the building needed a lot of work. It wasn't a prime position being in town. They were better off in an out-of-town site. And so they just sold up, left. And I really wanted to try and figure out some way of acquiring this thing and turning it into like a furious building and a museum. But no, there was like £1 million, £1 million for the place, plus massive work to restore it. So a developer turned up and turned it into flats and restaurants. But he let me in to walk around it. So here's the key, post it back when I'm done. And let me
brilliant.
have like free reign of the place for a day to go and film it. Whatever I wanted.
Nice.
And it was amazing.
So, for all the radio listeners,
Yes.
how can they find your channel?
Okay, if you head over to YouTube, it is Furious Driving, spelt normally. So www.youtube.com/Furious Driving. I'm on Twitter as FD_tweets. I'm on Instagram, but don't go there very often. That's just called Furious Driving. And there's a Facebook page as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for
You
chatting us
are
today.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to talk to you.
Cheers.